Welcome to the Restaurant Operator Podcast. I'm Mandy Detwiler, editor of Pizza Marketplace and QSRweb, and we're here today with Andrew Pudalov, founder of bowl concept Rush Bowls. Andrew started out in the financial sector, leaving to pursue the restaurant industry. Andrew, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Why did you decide to leave the financial world to pursue Rush Bowls?
Well, there's a few reasons, quite frankly, but there was a big trigger, and that was 9/11. So I was working and living in New York City. My wife was in the tower in 93, and it was her first day back from maternity was 9/11. And then I was in Midtown. She was in the 20s, and it was just a horrific experience. And at the time, we had a 2-year-old and an infant, and I just didn't want to live there. One of my close friends jumped, and it was just such a horrific period of time that I wanted to do something a little different in my life, take everyone or leave and move to Boulder, Colorado, and try something dynamically different. One thing I love entrepreneurship, and I was pretty darn good at what I did. So it afforded me the opportunity, quite frankly, to try something very different and kind of fine tune my skill sets and learn about something I had no knowledge about. Also living in Manhattan at the time, and this is 20 years ago. We were like more than 20 years ago, but 24 years ago or so, or 23 years ago, when you were living in New York City, the choices of health food were, especially for kids, were a hot dog, grilled cheese, or pizza. There was no real thought of health and wellness back then. So Boulder is one of those very unique towns. It's great to live here, but it's near a college. And when I started this idea of a meal concept, I wanted to go somewhere near a college where students would be more adept at testing and trying new things than a more mature clientele. So it was positioned, and I thought of the idea, and I ran with it. And as a matter of fact, this month we're celebrating our 20th anniversary of Rush Bowls at that first location on the hill by CU in Boulder.
How did you envision Rush Bowls fitting into the food industry?
Well, I always felt it was a meal, a lunch, a late night, meal opposed to like a yogurt or a snack or a Subway sandwich, whatever you want. So I didn't know enough to think about, hey, how would this fit? I just knew it was delicious. I'm a big texture guy. So I just wanted a lot of layers of texture, and I wanted healthy food. So you could really kind of feel that you could get through the day and energized and know what you're eating. That's big for us. So I didn't really say, hey, this is a lunch, breakfast, or dinner. I wanted this as a healthy meal to go.
Gotcha. How did you go about developing the concept and the menu for Rush Bowls? Why bowls?
Because, at the time, their smoothies were fairly popular, but I wanted something that was like more filling, right? I didn't want to drink. I wanted something I could sit down and eat. And that's the whole thing that came around about texture, right? Like I'm a big textural mouthfeel, so I like a lot of different textures. And I felt that it was really important to be a little more filling, like have vegetables mixed in. And that was something not thought about really at the time, or even the past 3-4 years. Fruit and vegetables mixed in is more relatively new. But I wanted something that would really be nutritious, on the go, filling, that you can take out and eat on the run, right? Like, hey, right. The whole society is, moving so quickly. This is something you can eat in your own domain, however you want, and feel good about eating it. And one thing unique about Rush Bowls, which is very unique to the community now, there's so many people that have copied us over the years. We don't do sorbets. We don't do junk. We don't do cocktails. Everything is pure and natural. And most people have gone to a frozen ice cream sorbet, which is 3 times the calories of a Rush Bowl, right? Because it's cheaper and easier to make. Our stuff is made in front of you. Make it yours is a campaign we have, and it's all about health and wellness. So we grind our own peanut butter in store.
Wow.
We with just granulated peanuts for make our own jams with chia seeds for another layer of texture, if you want. And certainly it pays huge dividends when you put the time and effort to create new, unique flavors and have health and wellness is really what your focus is.
When you were starting Rush Bowls, what was your biggest challenge?
Not having a clue how to start a company. There's tons of challenges, right? That's the beauty of it. That's, when you look back at it, it's the challenges you remember, not the successes probably as much. But all sorts. For us at the time, we were in the education business, and you really never, when you're starting a business, generally you don't want to be in the education business because it costs a lot of time and a lot of money, and you're constantly explaining to people what you are, right? So early on, we paved the way for that. And that's where I think success of business comes from, persistence, honestly, among a million other things. But we were
Sure.
really persistent. And once people started trying the product, I knew this would be, a big winner, that people would really like it.
Do you have 51 locations now?
Yes, we're
Gotcha.
opening 52 maybe, but we're opening a bunch more this year too.
Okay. What was just the key factors in your decision to franchise Rush Bowls?
Well, that came much later. In 2016, I met someone who had an expertise in franchising, and it was never my intention actually to franchise. But in talking to him, I decided that it's probably a smart, interesting thing to do, and it's been quite a lot of fun, honestly, and it motivated me to kind of create it and move on from there. And then in 2020, I had a partner that helped me franchise that had franchisee experience, but not franchisor experience. And then in 2020, I bought him out and basically been building it ever since. So um, it's been quite a lot of fun and challenging and wonderful and a lot of different things. I also in 2010 started a wholesale company selling frozen bowls in Whole Foods and Costco and HEB in Rocky Mountain region of Costco and HEB and some other markets, and tested that to 2016, 2015, 2016, which was really interesting. So it's three dynamics, which is kind of so much fun because I was in retail, I was in franchising, and I was in wholesale. So they all shared the name Rush Bowls, but three dynamically different businesses and run different ways, which has been an incredible uh, learning opportunity for me, which I love.
Now, why go into HEB and Costco? Why do that? Add that layer to the concept,
Well, at the time, that came before franchising. That was in
right?
2010, and that was frozen bowls. So what happened was I was starting my business, and I was trying to get people in and out faster, and I started freezing the bowls, and it gave me the idea to hey roll it out. So we're in 40 states with Whole Foods, and we had a co-packer. We packed it ourselves, and then had co-packers, multiple different co-packers at different times, and then in the end, because we stopped production, the co-packer went out of business and didn't tell anyone. So unfortunately, it impacted 12 different companies. At some point, we're going to probably relaunch our wholesale line. That's going to be kind of a lot of fun because I do like that business also.
What's been your strategy for growth as you've expanded the concept?
Yeah, so that's really kind of a fun situation. So a lot of people do super regionally development. And certainly that's an easier, probably more effective development for short term. What I wanted to do is more of a national reach because no one's doing it well nationally to begin with, quite frankly. And then I felt that and the reason that people don't do it nationally is A, lack of control, but B, lack of suppliers, right?
Okay.
I really understand the supply chain for this business model, and I was able to really configure a national supply chain. With that, then it's really for us to verify and upkeep of the stores, which is challenging sometimes, but with great communication and really getting out there in the community, I felt it gave us a strategic longer term vision and advantage of being national, that people would know the name nationally. Now it's way harder to do it that way. I would say that, but I do feel that longer term it would be much more successful for us.
How are you maintaining consistency and quality across the brand as you grow?
Yeah, and I think that's really when you're franchising, that's the biggest challenge, right? So, especially in a product that we make for, it's not pre-made anything, right? So it's not pre-made sorbets with sugar and almond flour and junk in there. We're blending in front of the people. I think first of all, I would tell you that we've had Subway franchisees, and they have never seen a much as comprehensive portal and education system that we have. Is, I think, so comprehensive and so detailed that it really helps. So when you go and join the Rush Bowl family, and we're partners, like, I don't view it as just franchisees. I view it as a partnership because it is, right? It's a marriage. And we have all sorts of educational, everyone has my employees' numbers that they can call it, basically 24/7, 7 days a week, speaking to experts. So, it's really hands on and helping when we can help, and making sure that we're providing our partners all the tools to make sure that A, their quality is great, but B, they can visualize it, and on top of that, speak to someone if there's any challenges. So, and we fly out and look at the places too, but it's such a educationally driven model, and detailed, that we spent a ton of our time and infrastructure and making sure that, honestly, if we had 300 stores, we wouldn't be impacted, because that education system and everything there is there for much larger growth.
When
Um,
you say education system, are you talking about training the employees?
Training videos, not just in person, but online, in different portals, secure portals that go through every part of making making them, or what to do if this goes wrong, on how to fix this, or how to interact with the customer. So every aspect of the business, and then even from construction documents to, we update our marketing materials almost daily. So they can access all this, and have that ability to, speak to someone if there's confusion on that, but also be able to visualize and understand, how to make Rush the best it can be.
Sure. How does Rush Bowls differentiate itself from other healthy fast casual restaurants? What's going to set you apart from the competition?
Well, I think there's a couple of things actually. The first thing I would say, that we're very focused on bowls and smoothies. So, and diverse flavors within that. We were never just an acai bowl place, right? Acai is on our menu and we sell a lot of it, but we are green tea, we're spicy, we're peanut butter and jelly bowls. We're you know very tropical, or gluten free, dairy free, vegan. We can make anything any which way you want, right? There's no pre-made anything here. And that really gives us a leg up, because we're much more nutritious, much healthier, and taste better. You're tasting real fruit. All the competitors, I think all of them, are a significant portion of them, use pre-made bought sorbets, right? So that's sugar flavoring. Doesn't even have to be acai. It could be just flavoring instead of the actual fruit. So, that's a big flavor differential. And we're so focused on bowls and smoothies. So we're not in panini salads and all these other things that I think distract the consumer from a very focused, healthy orientation of a product line. So, when you go into these stores, it's really from there. Now's the education of what you're eating. So we're a third to half the calories of most of the competitors out there because that base, what they're scooping, there's nothing like scoopable in our store, right? We don't even put yogurt in our products.
Oh,
So we really are fruit and vegetables with any choice of milks or other items. And even we just launched a new product of jams that you can put in your bowl or with your peanut butter. And we have 3 different varieties of it. And that's made without pectin. It's made with chia seeds. And it's really delicious and another layer of texture that's unique. So that's what we love doing, creating new products and have everyone try and copy us.
is there grape jam? Is there grape?
It's different. There's a multi-flavor one. There's a southern lemon kind of flavor, and there's a spicy mango one.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, what are your long term goals for the brand? Where do you see the brand in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, certainly, we're growing. We're growing at the pace we want to grow, right? So I'm also unique because I own everything, right? So I'm not private equity or anything like that. So I want good partners and I want successful partners. So we really focus on getting the right people in place for their success and our success because it is a marriage, right? So we're a little different on that, but certainly I want to be the leader in the field. Rush Bowls is a health food brand, right? It's not just you know bowls and smoothies. We're growing in our Rush Bites, which we make in store, which are a ground peanut butter snack with oats and chips and chocolate chips and honey and rolled in coconut or granola.
Those sound
And some are
good.
banana bread bites, which we add banana to it. So a lot of it is complementary products to our bowls. But right now we're working on a project to roll that out also on a wholesale line. But we really want to be the go-to health food company that people can really focus on, that knows that what they're eating. And I think as we grow and people are more educated, they taste the difference, right? So it's really knowing what's in your food. And that's something we're super proud about. And I think that's only going to grow within the health food community.
Sure. I guess my last question is what advice would you give to someone following in your footsteps, an entrepreneur who is considering starting their own business? What lessons have you learned from your own journey?
Well, I would say a few things. Food is very tough, I would say, in terms of when I look at the
Yeah,
food industry, I did it, I was lucky enough to be pretty successful prior. So it allowed me to afford to build out a business. But the success of businesses, and from a lot of the books I read a lot boils down to persistence, right? So, it's not just having the greatest idea in the world. It's also understanding and spending a lot of time with rolling that out and then just keep on plugging away. Most businesses, the first idea is not the successful idea. It's the second, third, or fourth idea that comes from the first idea. So it's really just being all in, right? You can't just half do it, and just being focused and whatever challenges there are, just getting through those challenges and figuring out solutions. Even in my company, I generally like, okay, there's a problem, right? Great. There's problems everywhere. What are the solutions? What are the focus to solving those issues, those challenges? And I think really thinking in that mindset of solution opposed to, oh my God, this is a problem. Because that can be overwhelming. And by being very much solution focused and very much persistent about it, I think it'd be very helpful to any entrepreneur going forward. And again, be all in, right? Like you can't half do it. You can't, oh, this is going to be a hobby and I'm going to build it. You got to really be focused on it. And you got to be lucky too, quite frankly. So
Yeah.
all those
There's
fun things.
there's a little bit of luck in there too.
Of
Yeah.
course, a little of that magic dust.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
That'll do it for this episode of the Restaurant Operator Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.